Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to share some tips on how to outline your analytical essay. These are some things that work for me and that have worked for students in the past, but everybody organizes ideas differently, everybody thinks differently, so take from this what helps you and then change anything to what serves you better. If you know already what works really well for you while outlining, feel free to use that and just incorporate ideas from here as needed. So the first step seems really obvious, but it's easy to skip over. Reread the prompt. Pay attention to what you're being asked to answer. Pay attention to the word choices being used there. And then after rereading the prompt, you want to ask yourself, based on what you've read so far, how would you best answer that prompt? So what is your initial feeling for how you would answer the questions in the prompt? And then you want to keep in mind that that answer is your thesis, so it needs to be in your introduction paragraph. It's really tempting, and I see in a lot of papers that people in their introduction paragraph have a lot of questions that they ask, but the introduction paragraph is really the place to start providing those answers. Not every single reason behind the answers, but just at least your initial responses to the questions of the prompt. And I always recommend that you state your answer like a fact. Avoid weakening your ideas by starting off with phrases like I think or I believe or I feel. So if you're saying that an author would answer a certain way, just say that they would answer a certain way. You don't have to say I think they would answer this way. That's already implied by the fact that these are your thoughts in your essay. You don't need to add a qualifying statement like that beforehand. So once you've done that, you want to go back to your reading journals, to your notes, to any place where you wrote down your thoughts, maybe reread any parts of the text that really stood out to you. And you want to think about what are the key ideas in that reading that support your answer to the prompt. Those key ideas will then become the topics for your body paragraphs. It is okay to respond to multiple questions of the prompt in one paragraph. In fact, that's usually preferred. It shows higher level thinking than responding with one paragraph per question. Being able to combine similar ideas together shows that you are able to think about these things in a complex way. And then from there, you want to think about how you're going to arrange your body paragraphs. So ask yourself, what do readers of your paper need to know to understand your key points? Is there any context from the reading or any just kind of terms that you need to define? And if there are, that information should come in earlier body paragraphs. And you also want to think about how one key point ties into the next. That can be really helpful with writing transition sentences and also with coming up with a good order for your body paragraphs. If you're really struggling to find how one key point connects to another, maybe they shouldn't be right next to each other in your essay. Maybe there's another idea that should go in between. Or maybe even that's the point where you realize that one of the ideas doesn't really fit in your essay. It's better to keep that in mind while you're outlining than once you've written a full draft. And then lastly, once you've done all that, reread the prompt and reread your thesis. And consider what are the key ideas that you want people to understand after reading your paper. Those key ideas should be in your concluding paragraph. Also in your concluding paragraph, you should put what significance does your response have? What does your essay contribute to the larger conversation? Kind of what is the point of having written this essay responding this way? That should also go in your concluding paragraph. While you're outlining, it can be difficult to know what to prioritize, and it's easy to end up spending all your time and energy in one spot that's not maybe as helpful as something else. So I recommend as you're writing an outline that you prioritize having clearly indicated introduction, thesis, body paragraph topics, evidence you'll use within each body paragraph, and your conclusion. I also recommend prioritizing that you synthesize your ideas, right? That you don't just have one paragraph per chapter of the book or, some other very formulaic response, that you're able to tie ideas based on whether they're related to each other. And then I recommend not really spending a lot of time or energy on how it's set up, right? How you number it or do bullet points. Just pick whatever your instinct tells you. Don't worry about complete sentences yet. It might be helpful for your thesis, but otherwise, if a complete sentence comes to you right away, write it down. Awesome. But if not, incomplete sentences are totally fine at this stage in the writing process. And then just in general, I recommend not getting too caught up in the general formatting. Again, when you get to the final paper, there is a recommended font to be MLA format, but that's not really something that you want to spend your time on right now. So those are my recommendations for your outline. Hopefully they help you. Reach out to me for how else I can support you in this part of the writing process.